Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to go over the mythics and their moves so that I'm not clueless when I see them in PvP. As far as I know, the only one that I own that I can't show you is the one ranking, which is Glamhead, who was just in that picture. I believe you have to have your mythics to at least level 35 before you can see all of their skills. So I'm just going to start on my islands and work around. Alright, so this is old Kawthor. You do see him a lot in PvP. He has the ability to heal and taunt, which I never see. I always see him used as an aggressor. Kills one ally, triples his damage. That's a horrible move unless you're the human player using it. Whenever the AI is running your team, you don't want that on your team. There's no telling what they're going to do. Half the time they could kill themselves for no reason. I do think, though, that I've heard somewhere that if, like, say you have total blind on and you use this move, that you'll miss killing your ally, but you'll still get the 3 damage or the triple damage boost. I'm not 100 on that. I have not playtested with this guy very much. I haven't playtested with a lot of these guys very much. That's why we're going to go over them so that we can see. Skills Mirror is really good for when you don't have a way to hit your opponent. Like maybe they have evade up and you don't got a per or any way to get around it. So instead of just skipping your turn and charging, you can put a Skill Mirror up, which Skill Mirror is way better on people that have strength runes. If you don't wear strength runes and you wear speed runes, it's not much. Like Skill Mirror is only good then for applying a skill. It's not going to do a bunch of damage back. Whereas like if you had all strength runes on and some weak guy hits you with like a stun move, you could KO him in return just because your hit back can do the amount of damage that your monster does. It's very worth noting the monsters that have 0 cooldown moves because of all the cooldown activations happening in PvP. So the ones that I think would be best on this guy. I got over here, I have a massive deal 1 damage to somebody that also applies bleed to him. So I mean, if they survive through that, they're pretty big trouble. Plus it heals yourself. I don't think there was any other moves over here that even come close. Deals heavy water damage to one enemy. I only have that there because it's 0 cooldown, and if you compare over here to 0 cooldown, yes, the one on the left does a bunch more damage if you were to say use it on a Mega Taunt, but I don't plan to run Kawthor to kill Mega Taunters. I plan to just purr him away and use his big damage to kill actual taunters. Monster Ingestion. This move is, it's pretty solid. You're putting your opponent under pressure while relieving yourself from pressure, and Kawthor is really good at that. If you check out most of his moves, he's so meaty and ability to deal a bunch of damage. And this move here is only there because it's free. Which kind of contradicts having this free move here, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that and make it this one, if I can find it again. Just because now we have a free multi and a free single on him, so it was good to come in there. We'll go ahead and check their traits while I'm at it. Getting life regeneration would be cool, but he's just so far away from me. That's a lot of amber. I'm not going to worry about it. I think that's him. So let's go over this guy, see, well, first we'll check his traits out. Immune to freeze is very good, especially versus like Thasla. Thasla can't freeze your whole team if one of them's immune to freeze, but I don't think he has any self-nurs, whereas really you just want a nur or an AoE nur on somebody who's immune to freeze. But he does have self-trait protection, but that's kind of relevant since all of his traits aren't really any good. I think that's just, once again, more for dealing with Thasla. I think they expected him to be in war, meaning you're going to play with him on your war team and your enemy might have a Thasla and now you have a fighting chance. I think that's what they were aiming for. So let's go over the ones that I picked this time first, and then we'll go over the ones that I haven't picked. Applies quicksand to all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. The reason why I got that is it's double tortures on everybody, which is 40% of their life a turn, I believe, since each, 15 and 20, 35% of their life each turn. Deals water damage to one enemy, applies drown to one enemy. I have that because it's free. Still nothing crazy, just tortures. Applies poison to all enemies, applies nightmare. Again, just double tortures, so he's like able to put 4 tortures on somebody in the first 2 turns. Deals low metal damage to one enemy, applies nightmares to one enemy. Again, this move is just because it's free. which kind of contradicts with this move, which means I definitely think I shouldn't be running that move. Applies drown to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself. I think that might be the better move just because it would free up the cooldowns on these other moves, even though they're only 2, so I'm not really sure if that's necessarily the best. Applies torture immunity to one ally, applies precision to one ally. That doesn't seem like it does much. Applies nature and earth weakness to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself. That could be really good for team skill, depending upon who you pair him with. Like, honestly, now that I think about it, that would really mess somebody up if he went before Nora and put that on. But yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe that is what I just swap over here for a quick second. Let's see. We got bleeding and the precision. So yeah, that's pretty much all he's got. The relics, armor, and a banner. You could put charging banner and some sort of armor on him. I wouldn't know. Now this one, I see it a lot in PvP, and I've never actually really looked over its moves. So it's a good thing that I'm going over it. It's immune to bleed, and it gets self-damage increase at rank 3. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Applies damage increase to itself. I think that's like 50%, or it's double. I'm not sure. I think it's just 50%. Up here, let me go to these skills, change skills, go over the ones we got. We just have a free move that applies bleed. We have another free move that hits everybody. Then we can remove negative effects from self, which isn't very good. I mean, what good is having negative effects removal if it's not for the whole entire team? Here we have multiple enemies, deals low dark damage to all enemies, applies nightmare to all enemies, requires cooldown. Again, nothing new, so I think this is one of the ones where I haven't messed with its moves. Deals low special damage to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself. That would be really good, especially if you had a damage boost. Deals low dark damage to all enemies, applies nightmare to all enemies. I'm not worried about this self-ner. That's a heavy hitting 0 cooldown move. I like that, especially since there's a lot of CDA in the meta. Deals dark damage to all enemies. That's nothing special, but we do have another extra turn move here. Don't want to get rid of the free moves, but one enemy, multiple enemies. I'm guessing we'll get rid of this one. Alright, so let me double check through here. We just got some tortures, some self-nerd, yeah. So now we have 2 extra turn moves. One of them has 3 cooldown. One of them has 1 cooldown, so I guess that means you could hit 4 moves in a row, right? You could go 1 move, 2 move, 3 move, and then pick one of these other 2, meaning if you're out of stamina, I don't think they have any harder hitting. Yeah, so it's pretty much like Nora, but Nora doesn't have a self-damage boost, that's one thing. And double swords is pretty crazy too, so yeah, this is definitely an insane attacker, that's why you see a lot of people using it. Morgz, we get dark protection, which would be really good against the monster we just went over. Immune to torture would be really good against the blue monster we just went over. Exhibit, immune to blind, I'm not too sure where that comes in handy, but I'm sure it does. We got multiple enemies, but it's free. This one here is dazing them and negate healing them. That's definitely pretty good. The reverse healings are definitely pretty good with all the relic triggers in PvP, especially if you trigger them on purpose just because you know they have reverse healing on. Think big, dragon hater, I don't see it doing much. Yes, there's plenty of dragons in PvP, but at the same time, you could just be using a regular move. I gotta like the names, Prank Your Mom, that's kind of cool. So I do like the reverse healings. Deals low dark damage to all enemies, applies guard down and nightmares to all enemies. Guard down's where you can hit every time, I think, yes. So the best moves on this guy. Does he have any better ones over here? Applies a 3-turn death counter to all enemies. That's super weak. You just Nur it away. If you're not running a Nur on your team, then you don't deserve to win. Or you better be super aggressive. Deals low damage to one enemy, applies guard down, and a 3-turn death counter. Alright, so what is the difference on this one and this one? All enemies, I guess. Oh, I like it better like this. Applies Dragon Hater, applies a 3-turn Death Cloud, deals low dark damage to one enemy, applies Nightmares to one enemy. That's a free one. Do we have a free one on him yet? Yes, we do right there. Yeah, I still think it's better. So, alright, I think he's set up perfect the way that is. His relics, I would love to get morgz armor and a sword relic. I mean, I don't really know what anybody would do with that monster. I don't think he's that good. This monster, we got Anticipation, but it's only status caster, which I think is super weak. When this guy first came out, he was even worse than he is now, and he's still horrible. They upgraded him and made his like revive move give evade, but he's horrible. I'm only playing with him because I don't have enough rank 3 monsters, and PvP's more about rank than how good you are at the moment anyway, so I do like the Abomination trait. I think that's really good, but like I said, if that Anticipation was a trait, this guy would be better. He'd be a solid PvP monster if that was a trait and not a self-caster or status caster, I mean. But like, you can't ask for too much, I guess, in a game like this. Um, I bounce back and forth between the resurrect all allies and the deal damage to all enemies and the master. Like, I'm never sure which ones I want to run. But since I'm seeing more CDAs than I'm seeing the ability to beat my whole team to death, that's why I switched and put both of those on. Resurrect's the one ally. That's a move that you like the must-have with him. Anybody who runs this guy without that move, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it either. He does have a purr, removes positive status effects from one enemy, and he heals himself while doing some damage. And he's good against CDA with them 0 moves, which I think all his ones that do damage have 0 moves. Applies damage boost to one ally, heals one ally by 30%. Yeah, that's cool and all, but I mean, most of the time I think my dudes are dead, so he's basically reviving them, and if he's not reviving them, I don't think that he's getting to boost, like, if this said remove negative effects removal from your opponent and give him a damage boost and heal him by 30%, I could get on board and say, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool, because maybe my attacker wasn't going to get to go, and now it can, but it doesn't say anything even close. Applies damage boost to one ally, applies life regeneration to one ally. Again, the only thing here that I really like is that this one lasts 3 turns, whereas that one only lasts 1 turn, even though it's double. 3 turns is definitely something that demands an answer, or you're going to eat up value. Heals all allies by 50%. That could become relevant if you had a very fast miserus, I think, but mine's pretty slow, so usually their whole team gets to go, and I'm usually out of stamina from relic triggers, and I just have to rely on my 0 damage moves at that point. So, yeah, I definitely think the relics are all about stamina on this guy, but we put that random gold relic on him for taking stamina down, because I don't think there's much to make from traps. Anyway, so that sums him up. Which direction are we going? We're going this way. Let me get over here to this guy. I think this guy is extremely overrated. He's definitely better than like most. If you get him to rank 3, he can definitely tank. That's for sure. Like, I've lost to a few of them, but for the most part, he's not that good. The main reason why is if you just change that harden to a taunt, I'd be on board with this guy, and then I'd be like, okay, he's better than a jewel. He's worth working on. But when you're making new mythics that aren't even better than legends, I gotta call him overrated. That's the only way. I love life regeneration on a tank, though. But the good thing is, he does have the ability to cast a lot of taunts. He can cast Mega Taunt, he can cast regular taunt. Removes all negative status effects from itself. Does not mean much to me, guys. Like I said, if the dude's locked down and he doesn't get a turn, what good is a Nora? That said, everybody, I think it was a way better move. Anyway, mine set up is with a free daze. That's to prevent my opponent from having their way with me. The Megaton is a must-have. It's sort of like the whole point of this guy, is that if they remove your Megaton, you want to be able to put it back up. And the special thing about putting it back up is it comes with a damage protection, which sponges up a lot. I'm not sure why, but when I cast Death's Door, this damage reduction or damage protection actually reduces how much the Death's Door does, or the half death, and that's not technically correct according to the way the game looks designed. That looks like a bug, which maybe tonight I'll go and report in the bug section if nobody beats me to it. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, heals itself by 30%. That's not necessarily a good move. That one could arguably be replaced with something else while we're here. Deals heavy earth damage to one enemy, applies quicksand and daze to one enemy. That's another one. So I think like we got 2 moves that are basically like trying to be aggressive on a tank, whereas I think giving it a daze is more aggressive and has a 0 cooldown. So I think that should be our only damage dealing move. I think I need to get rid of this one, and I think I need to get rid of this one. Now let's come over here and see what is worth getting rid of them for. Applies taunt and positive protection. to itself requires cooldown. The positive protection actually lasts 3 turns, which means you could put it up and then go into Mega Taunt. Or if they didn't remove your Mega Taunt and this guy's super fast and he gets to go, you can go ahead and put positive protection up to save your Mega Taunt. Not from a player like me, because I'm using Nizo with double per, and we don't have any mythics yet with double per, so it will be good. That's why we're going to switch it over there. This one here applies life regeneration to all allies. It's cheap and all that, but it doesn't really seem effective. But we only have the ability to run like one more move, so what would we do? A Nur, or is this all? No, it's just one enemy. I don't really like it. If it was all enemies, I think we go for it. Honestly, man, I'm thinking we're gonna go with the regeneration. I don't think there's a better move here. The 0 moves. We said we had a 0, right? Yeah, we already had 0. Okay, so yeah, let's just get this. Boom. He can, instead of heal all enemies by 30%, he puts regeneration on them, which is going to heal him 60% unless something happens. Alright, so his relics are basically capable of giving him stamina and protection. So let's move on to the next monster. We go up here. We can't mess with the glamorous. This guy, I've never really looked into his skills. His sunburn immunity, really the only person I see dishing out tons of sunburn is Wormlad and Armorclaw, but I'm sure it's elsewhere that I'm just not thinking about. Anyway, let's go to his skills. Change his skills. What do we have? We got a skill mirror and double damage to itself, applies vulnerability to itself. I think vulnerability is like the type of move you want to be casted on your opponent, so it's kind of retarded to me, but that's what like, retarded people make retarded stuff. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies damage boost to itself. That's cool because it lasts 3 turns. I think it's very relevant when we look at these things, like how long the turn lasts of getting your boost. Because what if something goes wrong, like someone zaps your stamina, like, and then what, you lost your whole entire, you just got turn locked. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies a damage boost. Yeah, that's the one we just said. Removes all negative status effects from itself. Again, it's another self nerd. They're not that impressive to me. It'd be different if they were AoE. Deals massive metal damage to one enemy. Okay, so let's see what we got over here. Deals moderate metal damage to all enemies, applies vulnerability to all enemies. That sounds way better than removing negative effects from himself. Is to make your whole entire enemy team vulnerable so that your allies can beat the heck out of them. Disables trait, what? And applies mirror all to itself. You had me for a second. I was like, what the heck? We got a trait disabled mythic and I haven't even noticed? Like, wow. Yeah, so he applies it to a sexual dance. It's retarded. I don't know. Wow, this is super retarded. How would I be ruining this guy if I did have him on my team I wanted to fight? Since he has a skill mirror, I just talked about that earlier, you'd want strength runes. Since he has a boost, you'd want strength runes. Since he can make your enemy vulnerable, I would expect, you know, that he's running with some team that's got some team strength runes or something. And the massive damage, I guess, it's better. Let's see, so the only thing he's missing is, yeah, 0 move, right? Yeah, so we'd have to pick a spot to put his 0 move. What's the best? Would we damage boost his 0 move? Honestly, guys, I think this skill mirror is horrible. But he's not only getting skill mirror, he's doubling his damage. That's pretty good. Since skill mirror, that's what you want, is to be able to hit back pretty hard. And it's a vulnerable. I guess we just switch it here because, like, one of them costs nothing versus the other one does a bunch of damage. Whereas hopefully the same thing would be to just come off a boost, but that could have been a one-hit KO. I don't know, that's something where I guess everybody would have a different choice. Let's get out of here. This takes a lot of time, so let's go over the next one. Cyber, she was like my favorite attacker when she first came out. Immune to possession. If you somehow get her to rank 3, she doesn't really miss, so that's good. Let's go to the skills. Apply skill mirror to itself. That's definitely one worth having for the reason that you're going to be using her as an attacker and they're not always going to get your turn. The reason why I have plays all angles though is because I go against Santa teams in wars, what I used to do with her. Fight the user, I think that one can be changed to the skill mirror maybe. So games is a free move. You kind of want a free move on all your monsters at this point in the meta because of that Googaboo or whatever his name is, that, you know, it's always CDAing people and he's always wearing speedruns, so he's very annoying. But the 2 bottom moves look good, and then playing all the angles is our multi-move. The perfect system might even be possible to switch around. Applies metal weakness to all enemies. Applies metal weakness to one enemy, gives 1 extra turn to itself. That could be nice, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Navarius is still better because it prevents them from being able to wear buffs. So I think I got it set up the best way right there, like that. Go over here to the relics and see he has a sword and a mask. Alright, so now we jump over here. Yeah, see if that guy had some gold. Alright, let's check. He's a taunt and he's immune to stun, and then he becomes immune to freeze as well. That's all good news. Let's check his skills out. Applies taunt, hater, and damage mirror to itself. I think that requires way too much stamina and doesn't really interact much with the game, especially if your opponent runs a purr. That would be so awful. Applies double damage and sunburn to itself. Like, why would I want to sunburn myself? That doesn't even, like, that takes away from my own accuracy. I'm sorry, I don't want to play with monsters that were designed to, like, contradict the point of play. Like, whose idea was that? Like, Anyway, deals moderate light damage to 1 enemy, applies stun to 1 enemy. That move that we have on, I like that. That's a deny move, making me think that this guy belongs more speedrun than strength. Deals very heavy earth damage to 1 enemy, applies life regeneration to itself. I mean, these are okay, but at the same time, is he supposed to be strength or is he supposed to be speed? I can't tell because he's got heavy hitting moves and he's got denies. Deals heavy light damage to 1 enemy, applies quicksand and sunburn to 1 enemy, requires cooldown. 2. I don't have any free moves on him. I definitely want to be changing up his moves. Nothing I read sounds good, so anything can be removed. I'm not running a move that sunburns myself. That's totally retarded. Here's a 0 move, and it works on multiple enemies, so we'll go ahead and put it there. Does he have any other 0 moves, though? Yeah, this one's a 0 move. Deals moderate special damage to 1 enemy, applies quicksand to 1 enemy. This one does to 1 enemy, so I'm going to switch that. Alright, so I think that's the best setup that I can run. I don't think this guy's any good at all. So let's look at his relics. See, sword and trap. Let's go over here to this one. This is one of the ones where I'm always wondering about. Like, I needed to look at this one. True vision. That's where you don't miss, right? Yeah, precision doubled. I don't really understand why that's a good thing, but I guess that means he's gonna have a bunch of like deny moves and you don't want to miss. Deals moderate light damage. Oh, let's start with the ones I got. Deals moderate light damage to 1 enemy, applies sunburn to 1 enemy. It's free, so I like that. And it puts sunburn on, applies blind to all enemies, and it's free. Deals friendship, or deals heavy special damage to an enemy, applies total damage reduction. That's where they can't move, so that's, or I can't do any damage at all, so that's a deny move. And deals heavy light damage to 1 enemy, applies blind, sunburn, and daze to 1 enemy, so they're most likely missing. That's not a purr, though. I've always thought this guy had a purr. This one is multiple enemies, and it applies sunburn, daze, and blind. So why am I not running it over a single? I don't know. I guess maybe I was thinking about Wormlad or something. Removes all negative stats effects from itself, applies Photopic Shield to itself. That looks better than applies blind to all enemies. What else do we have? Applies total blind to 1 enemy. That's way better than total blind means they can't hit me. We want to keep our free move. So one of these 3. Tough decisions, man. I would say it's better than dazing and blinding everybody because you're going to permanently removes positive stats effects from 1 enemy, gives 1 extra turn to itself. There, it does have a purr. It's a shame it costs so much, but it has to go somewhere. So I'm gonna say we put it there, and then we're just a monster that's beat by CDA. So you don't want to get CDA because we don't have any CDAs on. Because yeah, so he's got a bunch of cool moves here. He's got a purr. He's got remove negatives on himself and put a photopic shield. Again, if he doesn't get his turn, that's sort of irrelevant, but when he does get his turn, he can protect himself for a turn, which is cool. Applies total damage reduction, total blind, so he's got ways to just deny. I like him. He seems cool. Let's go to his relics. He can wear a bunch of stamina gain, basically. Alright, the next monster is Moonhaze. Moonhaze, I think, is very good. I only have a problem with, like the one skill trying to possess itself, but it gets immunity to possession at rank 3. It just takes so much amber to get these monsters to rank 3. Come over here to the skills. Let's go over the ones I got. Apply stun and sunburn to all enemies. That seems fine. You're putting them under pressure plus denying them. This is a super deny move to one enemy. This is give yourself extra turn, which is going to reduce your cooldowns, and it protects somebody with a photovic shield for 2 turns, guys. That is super relevant. That's almost demanding that they have to take it off. Removes all negative status effects from all allies. If I had her rank 3, I would be switching her in and out, or him in and out, versus tons of teams, because this monster is so good behind Santa. Being able to photovic shield my Santa would be insane. Being able to negative effects removal my Santa would be insane. Anyway, I come over here to the other side. We got deals light damage to one enemy, applies possession and blind to one enemy. Why, if I'm going to possess somebody, would I want to blind them to? That is retarded. Thank you for putting retarded stuff on more monsters, social point, or whoever's doing that. And that's sarcasm. Applies light weakness to all enemies, applies dark hater to all allies. I guess that's situational on who you have in your team. Applies sunburn to all enemies. Do we have any 0 moves? No, but these all look so good. I don't know how you would convince me to take them off for a 0 move. Deals moderate special damage to one enemy, applies stun to one enemy. I guess you would decide if you want to use the mega stun or if you want to use the cheaper stun move. Whereas I'm changing my mind at this point. I think it would be better to use the stun move. Alright, so that sums up Moonhaze. Over the relics again. Oh yeah, you can get speed, health, and you could wear Uriel's Essence, which is like the best relic in the game, and you can use the staff for getting some stamina, which is really cool. Alright, so the next place we're going to move over to is, we'll hit right here. We have the Croc. I'm not really familiar with his skills either, but at rank 3, that's amazing. Definitely a big difference. That makes a monster a completely different monster if you give him immune to control. Alright, so let me check his skills out. I'm not really sure. I think he's an attacker, but we just have that over there because it's free, would be my guess. Or I've never changed its moves. There's moderate damage to all, fire damage to all enemies, applies burn to all, or sunburn and burn. So you can apply some tortures, fire weakness with some tortures. It gives moderate fire damage for free. So I have 2 free moves on him. It looks like I can get rid of one of them. Seems like overkill to run 2. What else does he have? Fire, ignite to everybody. An extra turn move. We'll go ahead and put that one up there. Then he's got just some burns, nightmares to all, special damage. Ignite. Yeah, so to me, he's garbage trash. I didn't see one single move that matters. And for whatever reasons, I have a cane sword on him. That needs to be moved to any monster that's playable that has a sword relic, which I'm not sure of at the moment. Let's go to Armor Claw. Self-immunity, or self-stun immunity. I guess that just means that he doesn't give his whole team stun immunity. So he's got okay traits, or traits just because of having Harden. This move here is fantastic. Save Rocky God. You can just constantly cast that over and over and over and over since it refreshes cooldowns. Applies damage boost. Or wait, let me just go over the ones that I have. So I have that because you can cast it over and over and over. I have this because sometimes you're CD8 and you want to be able to smack back. And it hits hard and it puts a burn on them. I have this for when I'm not CD8 and I want to do as much damage as possible to one monster. And then I have this for when I can't do damage to a monster because of whatever reasons. So I want some sort of defensive play. Deals low special damage to all enemies, increases maximum life by 50%. I think that would be relevant if you were running like life runes on them and using them as a tank. But as I have mine set up, I'm using it more for an attacker, so I don't really mess with that. Deals low fire damage to all enemies, burn all enemies. That doesn't really seem to do anything. And the special damage to all enemies is only free. That's the only thing I see that's cool about it. And we have a free move here, so we're basically choosing a single over an all when it comes to special. That damage boost does last 3 turns. That's very relevant, but as is, I don't think there. You know, he can wear an armor relic and a mask, so he can wear a lot of tanky stuff. Vandeckan. I think this was the first free-to-play deny monster. Again, I don't really know what use sunburn immunity is, but that cooldowns immunity would be nice. That would allow us to not draw any cooldown skills, meaning any 0 cooldown skills, I mean. Here we just have AoE possession that also applies nightmares. Here we have a possession and double damage, which I can't stand moves like this because most of the time they'll just miss and give the monster freaking double damage. So basically, I think I'm just going to switch it so that, you know, wait, major damage reduction is not the same thing as all, or like they can still hit you, it just doesn't do as much. He can apply double tortures to one enemy. That doesn't seem very powerful either. And there's a total damage, which is what I just thought I put on, but it was actually just a major. Come down here to see what else he's got. Major damage reduction for 2 turns on one enemy. 2 turns on all enemies. This is the only one that I don't really like, is because it's a 1 enemy double torture move, like big deal. There's nightmares, but he doesn't have any other better moves. Is he using a 0 cooldown? Since mine's not rank 3, I should probably switch that. Now he can actually go if he's been CDA'd. Check his relics. I think are just double traps. Yeah, so you could level pestilence traps and go after their HP. I don't really know. You could put 2 oblivion traps on them, or however that's relic is pronounced. Coming up here to nature, I think we only have about 5 more monsters to go. Like I said, this is getting really long, but I'll put timestamps in the video so that you guys can go to exactly which monsters we went over at which time. Alright, here we got, what was his traits? So I don't see much of this guy in PvP, probably because none of his traits really matter. Immune to stun, cool, I guess. Not really. The moves that I have on him, I have a free move, because we talked about it a bunch. CDA. Deals low nature damage to all enemies, applies poison to all enemies. That move is trash. I guess we could swap it. Applies a photopic shield and torture immunity to itself. I like that how it's immune to torture lasts 3 turns, but I don't like how the photopic shield only lasts 1, but until I see something better. Deals very low nature damage to one enemy, applies poison to one enemy, gives 1 extra turn to itself. Since anticipation is super weak in the meta right now, I would keep that for that reason. Deals low nature damage to all enemies, applies possession to all enemies. That is an extremely better move than putting poison on everybody. Like, I guess he's another one where I never mess with his moves, I don't know. Removes all negative status effects from itself, applies revision to itself. Why would I do it? What move am I... What could he possibly have on him that needs taken off that then he needs true vision for? Like, oh my goodness, who comes up with this crap? Deals moderate nature damage to 1 enemy, applies possession twice to 1 enemy. I like that. I like the extra turn. I'm even liking it more than this torture immunity over here. I think I'm going to put it right in the torture immunity spot. Alright, what do we got here? The remove negatives, which I thought was junk. Deals moderate nature damage to all enemies. Applies poison and damage reduction to all enemies. Junk, even though I think poison reduces your damage too. Power reduced by 20, plus your damage reduced by 50. Yeah, that stacks up, I guess. But as is, that's all I can see in this guy, is he can possess people. That's it. Right? Am I missing anything? He's got possessions. Yeah, he can just possess people. He's not very good. He's got the ability to gain a bunch of stamina, though. So we go over here to Nora. She's my current attacker. Check her traits out. She gets stamina regeneration at the beginning. She's immune to daze and blind. That's not really a big deal, but I guess it is when I've seen a bunch of mythics so far that did have the ability to daze and blind, but it's probably unlikely that they will. Total blind counts as blind, though, right? Yeah, so you can't total blind her. That's huge. Anyway, this is an AoE move that I have set up, and then I think I have a free single set up, and then I have my 2 extra turns so that I can go for 4 turns in a row, and on the fourth turn I can decide either if I want to hit everybody or if I want to hit one person, and that's how I have it set up. And then on top of the being able to hit one person, just in case I get CDA'd and I'm not able to do any turns except 1 in a row, I'll be able to do this one. Alright, and the other moves, it's sort of kind of contradicted. They do the same thing, like, meaning you could do more damage, but I figured, you know, the poison would do more damage over time, since it lasts for 4 turns. Deals massive physical damage to 1 enemy. If you were not going against CDA, That move would be a lot better than that move over there, but CDA is going to show up. I have this monster on defense, so you never know what's going to show up. Removes all negative status effects from itself. Again, I can't stress enough that you guys would have to tell me a situation where this starts getting good, because I just don't know. Like, what? I'm not allowed to be dazed. I'm not allowed to be blind. What do you have on me? You got me under tortures. You have torture effects on me, so I'm going to use my turn to remove the torture effects. No, thank you. I'll just use that turn to hit you again. And if you kill me with those tortures, then you killed me with those tortures. I'm not going to run a move to get rid of tortures. That is retarded in my mind, unless it can get rid of them for everybody. Applies daze to all enemies. I don't think it's as relevant when you just showed me that, you know, the mirror is going to have immunity to daze, immunity to blind. The relics, we just have the ability to jack up stamina. I don't think there's anything better you can be doing. I mean, you could probably heal, but I think stamina is way better than health. Health is just a cushion. Stamina is a resource. And by a cushion, I just mean like health is something that technically every fight that you win by that you have more than one health, that all those hit points were wasted in that fight. Meaning if I win a fight, I want all my monsters on 1 HP when I win. That's technically a full use of my hit points. If I'm sitting on 10,000 hit points, that's 9,999 of them I didn't use. So that's what I mean by cushion. And last in the natures, we got Tanya, which she gets really way better if she gets that damage protection mod. It's just so many ambers. I don't know if I'll get there. Freeze immunity, though, is very good versus Daedalus, like we talked about. Come over here to the skills. All of her good skills cost so much money, so much money, so much stamina. But she has the ability to per someone. She has AoE Nora. She's the only one we went over with an AoE Nora that doesn't have to possess herself. She has an AoE purr that also blocks positive effects so that they can't put something up after. She's also the only monster that I own so far that we went over mythic wise that has trait disable. And on top of trait disable, she's able to poison them for 4 turns. Deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, applies poison and daze to all enemies. So I guess that's really not relevant for any reason other than trying to make my opponent miss. Alright, removes positive status effects for one enemy, applies make a taunt guard down to one enemy. I'm thinking what they expected, somebody to do in here was make a taunt somebody so that they could AoE them. I don't know, guys. It's just more crap design. And deals moderate special damage to one enemy, applies 2 random negative status effects. It costs 0 stamina. I wish it cost 0 cooldown. We don't have 0 cooldown on it, do we? Right, so I want a 0 cooldown move in this spot. And right here it is, multiple enemies daze. So we're trading poison to be able to go from a CDA activation standpoint in the situation. And that leaves me with her summed up, or him summed up. Relics, everything there could be, is healing, but it could be some stamina gain off the amulet. Like I said, stamina is better than healing. On to what I believe is the last couple. No, I gotta go around to magic, I think. I do think this person, this chick or whatever, is good. You have taunt with harden, but most importantly, at rank 3, you get damage protection on a meat shield, which, I mean, if your job's to soak up damage, what better way than to prevent half of it? When it comes to the skills, though, we got Hand of God. No, it doesn't say left hand. Deals thunder damage to one enemy, applies shock to one enemy, so that's good for turning off extra turns. Blocks all damage from special element. It gives 1 extra turn. Oh, it's free, that's why I have it on, guys, actually, now I think about it. Deals heavy physical damage to one enemy, applies bleed to one enemy, and a 25% life shield to itself. That's cool. It does both apply pressure and save you. Damage mirror does not require you to have strength runes on. It's just going to make them take as much damage back as they dealt to you. I don't know what the double damage is relevant for, though. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. So that seems like a useless skill since we're defense. Definitely liking that blocks all damage instead. Applies a 50% life shield to itself and blocks out 50% damage. That's really good too. I like that better than the damage mirror, I think. What else do we got here? That's yeah, so we got 3 moves to save self from taking damage, and then we've got a attack move that costs no stamina, or I mean no cooldown. Alright, Whoops, I forgot to check the relics. Relics, we just have abilities to soak damage. Very good tank. Everything about that does what you would expect from a tank. Here we have cooldown immunities and immune to burn. I don't think he gets very much better at rank 3. Immune to blind doesn't seem like it's going to do much. Check the relics. Armor and a mask could be definitely healing some stamina. I think I just killed a spider. Anyway, let's go to change skills. This one's free, that's why we have it there. Cooldown. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies shocks. This is turning off the extra turns. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, applies shock and daze to one enemy. I'm thinking that that could be better than all enemies just because it has a lower cooldown and it does more than just shock them. It prevents them from having full chance to hit back. This one here is apply daze to all enemies. So over here we have a free move. Is that free move better than the first free move that we had? No. But it's different than thunder, and it doesn't cost any stamina. That's kind of cool. But I don't see it being better, but I don't need this move. That one I don't really think is very good. Removes all negative status effects from itself. Deals thunder damage to all. So his moves are just so awful that's why I have these awful moves, because the other ones are even more awful. So yeah, this guy's pretty awful. Let me get out of there. Let's see what we got. Urcann. I think this one's a sleeper. He gets way better at rank 1. He gets the hardened. I don't really see how much good the rank 3 is going to be. Anyway, the skills we got. We have an AoE Nora. That's an amazing move. We have applies thunder immunity and stamina regeneration to all allies. I think that's an amazing move if you have Santa on your team or a tank on your team. That's super big. Applies precision and damage boost to all allies. Again, I think that's 2 moves that make him really good behind a tank. And then this is just a free move that also applies daze. It's not ran for the damage. Come over here, we got applies triple damage to one ally during one turn, applies shock to one ally. Why would I want to shock them? Ugh. Deals low thunder damage to one enemy, applies shock and daze to one enemy, uses one extra turn to itself. Alright, was the other move free? No, we don't have it. We just have that one free move that dazes them. Yeah, so I guess that's where I'd have to pick between some of these moves, and I don't really like it. That's why I left it as is. Deals low thunder damage to all enemies, applies shock to all enemies. Deals master special damage to all enemies, and it's free. Is that free? This one gives daze, so I got him set up like that, but he does not have the runes or the ranks to be relevant. He has plenty of ability to gain stamina, so you're not taking away his stamina and shutting him down that way. And I think last but not least, we are over here at the magic. Let's check out the traits. Immune to blind and ability to not miss. Not really that relevant to me. Deals moderate special damage. Deals moderate magic damage to one enemy. Gives one extra turn to itself. Okay, so we got an extra turn move. Deals free magic damage. Magic weakness is with an extra turn is definitely relevant when we also have that magic extra turn there. So you can basically just remove all magic right there. That would be nuts. And then this one, if I guess them 3 wouldn't have been enough to kill him, this one will leave him bleeding. So let me see what it do when I come over here. Applies damage, boosted precision to itself. Big deal. That means you didn't do anything for a whole turn. Deals slow magic damage to all enemies. Applies bleed to all enemies. Big deal. Deals low magic. Yeah, big deal. Okay, I think I have him set up the best that's possible. And I'm not really a big fan of this guy. I have been beaten by him, but only by rank. Yeah, so the sword and the armor can give him some stamina. So that's all the monsters, guys, the mythics. I'm going to hurry up and check the ones that I don't actually have. I'm pretty sure the only ones that I would have that I don't is the Call of Duty looking guy, the Josh Dubs. I should have him, but I don't. When I get Mr. Beast, I'll check him out, and when I get the new race monster, I'll check her out, and when I get who else do I got coming? Nobody. I think just those 2. Yeah, I'll check those 2 out when I get them. I do wish I would have got Josh Stubbs. I'm not sure what he does, but I just fell asleep, and that's the only reason why I didn't get him. The better monsters of the mythics, I don't know, man. This little blue fish guy, he's so annoying. He's got pervs and trait disables. I'd love to have him. This brutalizer guy just wrecks my team. meaning like this guy is called a tool. I think some monsters are called tools, and you build a toolbox of tools, meaning a monster like Brutalizer is really good because he starts with that freaking status caster damage mirror, and with having the status caster damage mirror, you're able to like run him into a team where they're running like a heavy damage attacker. Okay, well then you know they're just gonna kill themselves if you run him. Like it's pretty, like I've seen my defense be just beaten by a person utilizing that. It's super simple. But that's it. I don't have the quest monsters or anything like that, so I can't go over them. But in 45 minutes, we went over all the monsters that I have and didn't really see anything that's game-changing or relevant in a meta. Like, they did exactly what they said they were going to do. They totally dumbed down the monsters. They totally dumbed down this game. So now that this game is, playing with, I don't know, a mental illness, like, we gotta just hope they change their mind and start making mythics that matter, which I'm hoping that's what they will do. I'm hoping that they just made them lame so that they could get people to transition to them first, and then once they transition to them, they'll start making them better. That's my hope anyway, guys. I will put timestamps for each monster in the description. Thank you for watching this video. Later.